Good afternoon from Los Angeles and happy Friday. This is Stock Market Today, sponsored by Interactive Brokers. On today's show, we're going to be looking at three stocks like we always do. We're going to be taking a look at Winnebago, Zoetis, as well as TransDigm. Three interesting stocks moving today. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. We saw gains across the board. The NASDAQ outpacing the other major indexes, finishing up about 0.5%. The Dow up 0.3%, and the NASDAQ up 0.4%. But what a strong week it has been for the stock market.
It really has been a great week as we head into the shortened week of trading next week with Christmas Day on December 25th. But look at the S&P 500 chart here. It actually outperformed today, up about 0.5%, and it gapped up bullishly over the 3,200 level. So no problems at all at that round number. Sometimes an index will approach a round number like 3,200 and maybe face a little bit of resistance, but no problems for the S&P 500 today. Blew right through that, and looks like a close near highs.
Yeah, so what psychological indicators now are you looking for? Because one could think, well, with the market continuing to hit new highs and new highs, that the bulls must be increasing.
Well, that is true because earlier this week, Investors Intelligence, we carry a weekly survey of newsletter writers, and the bulls increased quite a bit in the latest week. And we also had a put-call ratio that went below 0.6. So you've got some contrarian indicators that, are not unsettling, but, kind of lend to the argument that we could be in for a pause sooner rather than later. But, rather than kind of, make portfolio moves in anticipation of a downdraft, we're really not getting any, meaningful sell signals among leading growth stocks. And so we're going to ride the trend here as long as we can and see what the month of January looks like.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely key to be on guard and look for those signals that the market gives you. But let's look at some stocks now. We're going to take a look at Winnebago. The ticker there is WGO. This one gapped up on its quarterly earnings report, finishing the day, though, up 8%. That is a strong gain, but it was at the lower end of its range for the day, right around a 51.97 entry point, but a pretty strong report.
Yeah, a really strong report, better than expected earnings and sales. They were expected to produce revenue. I think it was $530 million. They came in at $588 million. So I mentioned on IBD Live yesterday, actually, if you're a believer that the U.S. economy in 2020 is going to continue to be boosted by consumer spending with low inflation and a healthy job market, this is a type of environment where RV makers tend to thrive. So I think fundamentals look pretty good at Winnebago, and it was a really outstanding earnings report. Stock was up 8%, like you said. It closed near its low after a bullish gap up, but this one still looks actionable with the market in a confirmed uptrend.
Yeah, that's right. And with these earnings gaps, we do like looking at the earnings options for some of these, but also using intraday charts helps. Looking at that 5-minute bar and seeing also if it can take out the first hour high. This one actually did not, but as you mentioned, it's still hovering right around that buy point. So we'll have to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, we'll see how it trades on Monday, but it was a really nice earnings report.
All right, and moving on, let's take a look at Zoetis in the veterinary health space. This stock gaining about 3% today, above average turnover, breaking out. What are your thoughts, Ken?
Well, really no news driving the move today, but this is an example of how a stock, it was very strong and actually closed near its highs. So you got a good close for Zoetis. Topped a $130.30 buy point. It closed, looks like around 132. 132.50-ish, something like that. So it's still well within buy range, but this is just a good example of a base breakout. And I remember earlier this week, you and Justin were talking about earnings stability, and that. So this is another stock that's got a very stable, consistent track record of earnings. So it has a very low earnings stability rank from IBD, and that's just because quarter after quarter after quarter, they're just churning out good bottom line and top line growth.
Yeah, that's right. A nice fundamental story, a strong strong bullish move here today. One thing to note, though, that relative strength line, the blue line on the chart, which measures price performance versus the S&P 500, that is lagging a little bit. We like to use that as a confirming indicator on a breakout if it hits a new high or even a short-term high. But just one of the factors of many for investors to consider when they are trying to figure out whether to buy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you always want to look at the slope of the relative strength line when a stock is nearing a breakout or breaking out. So the relative strength line, as you mentioned, was lagging a little bit, but you did have a very bullish price gain today in heavy volume. And Zoetis is no small potato. It's a company with a $63 billion market cap. Probably a name that many people haven't heard of, but really a high quality stock.
And we do know that the medical sector has been producing a lot of good names lately. And last but not least, let's take a look at TransDigm, ticker TDG, gaining about 2.8% in above average turnover, clearing a tight consolidation here not too long after a breakout on news of yet another special dividend. This one at $32.50 a share on the heels of a $30 special dividend in August, and this name out of the aerospace and defense sector, but definitely a long-term leader.
Yeah, and this is a leaderboard stocks, a stock that we've done very well with. And you mentioned an initial breakout over a 542.20 buy point. That was a few months back, but it did clear a nice alternate entry today of 581.17. Gapped up powerfully, closed in the upper half of its range. And again, news of a special dividend of $32.50 a share, and that comes on the heels of a $30 special dividend in early August. So this is definitely one of the stock market leaders and a nice bullish move today.
Yep, definitely one to keep your eye on, everyone. And before we go, just a few quick announcements. If you haven't tried it already, make sure you check out IBD Live. It's our morning live interactive program where you're looking at our screens, all our experts providing their analysis on both fundamentals and technicals, all looking at actionable ideas. What are your thoughts, Ken?
Well, I think Monday, for sure, Disney's probably going to get some talk on IBD Live as Wall Street figures out what the box office take for the rise of Skywalker is going to be. But Disney's, another leaderboard stock that's kind of revisiting a buy point here. But I'm sure Disney will get a lot of discussion on IBD Live Monday. Yeah,
that's right. Great analysis set to come during the holiday week. You can head to investors.com/IBD Live to check that out. And also, in case you missed it, speaking of Disney and Star Wars and the rise of Skywalker, this week's podcast covered investing lessons through a Star Wars lens with our very own Arusha Pierce and Ed Carson. Make sure you go check that out. It's a great listen, really entertaining, but a lot of fantastic lessons as well. You can check out that episode at investors.com/podcast. We've definitely, even if there's mixed reviews on the movies, we've had a lot of fun with all the Star Wars stuff this week.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah. The reviews have not been great, but Arusha saw it last night and said it was he was impressed, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a good box office numbers over the weekend. We'll see.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Just letting you know, I will be off next week, but leaving the show in very capable hands. Hope you have a very happy weekend and holiday, and the IBD team will see you next week.